What up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. And it's a special day here on Dodgers Dugout because I'm joined by the Dodgers' #1 prospect, Mr. Dalton Rushing. Dalton, thanks so much for joining us today, my man.
Thank you, guys.
So you've had a phenomenal year. You continue to climb up the ranks. Just kind of how do you assess your season? Because you, of course, had the concussion. You come back. You go on a tear. You hit so many home runs. If you look at your numbers, an 856 OPS, 15 bombs, 18 doubles, a triple in 89 games. How do you assess the season you had this year?
Yeah, I think this season was honestly bigger on the learning aspect than it was like the numbers that were put up. I feel like I learned more in watching 132, playing in 90 of the games than I ever have in my life of playing the game of baseball. So like that was the biggest thing for me. Being able to just like take in things each and every day. You're playing every single day of the week other than Mondays, and it's a good opportunity to learn as much as you can about the game of baseball. And that's exactly what I did. And now obviously have the first year under my belt. It's looking forward to see what you can do in a first or like a true full season of knowing exactly how everything plays out.
Yeah, and you talk about improvements that you can make. You can always get better. You can always grow. What is the area of improvement that you focused on this season and your continued growth as a player?
Yeah, it was the reset, like being able, like handling a staff like that in Midland, Michigan. It was a pretty talented staff, especially halfway through the year. We had a few prospects out there, guys that have some really good stuff and have a good chance of throwing in LA one day. So like that was really nice to get to like see those guys like Maddox Bruns, Peter Hebeck. I mean, those are guys that have plus stuff and they execute each and every one of their pitches when they're on. So it was a good kickstart on a defensive side of things to understand how to manage a staff through a full season.
First thing I was going to ask you is, look, you come from Louisville. That's a catcher's factory. You go to the Dodgers, another catcher's factory. Just when did it hit you that not only were you drafted from a great organization, really one of the best in baseball, but an organization that has such a rich tradition when it comes to catchers?
Yeah, I get asked that question each and every day. Like, how coincidental was it? It's first they take Will, and here you are now. Like, what do you expect from yourself? And honestly, I think the Dodgers just do a great job of getting what's best available at that moment, wherever they pick in the draft, usually later, and they make the most out of it. They take it and they run with it. That's why the development is obviously like harped on as being one of the best in baseball. And the things they've done with guys year in, year out. And look back at Will Smith through his minor league days. He was two totally different players from the day that he first got drafted to the day that he debuted in LA. It was like night and day. And so like that's kind of the plan that I plan to stick to and see how it plays out in LA.
Yeah, and you represent the Dodgers in the Futures game in Seattle. Just kind of talk about that experience and what that meant to you to represent this organization in that special game.
It's cool, man. You think there's 50 to 65 guys that get that opportunity each and every year, and just being able to be on that list and be out there with some of baseball's best prospects in the game. And it was very eye-opening. It was a good experience of like, hey, this is what the big leagues is kind of like. This is a feeling of being in a big league clubhouse and being around big league players each and every day. So that was a good taste. Like I said, it was opportunity of a lifetime, and I just tried to make the most out of it.
Yeah, and look, you joined an organization that has one of the best reputations, not only when it comes to developing catchers, but just players overall, pitchers, position players, and everyone talks about the reputation of the Dodgers farm system, from helping out players from a nutritional level to analytics to data to everything that it is involved in helping players grow. What is an area where they've specifically helped you?
Honestly, I can't even pick one. I think if I had to like say, I would say the defensive side of things. There were question marks after the draft of, hey, did they just draft a guy that can hit, but he can't catch? And that kind of sparked me up a little bit. It was like, I've called it my whole life. It was something I love to do. It's something I love and want to do for the rest of my life. And so as soon as I got with the Dodgers, of course, like that was the first thing we harped on is what can we do to maximize the potential behind the plate. And I think ever since then, like I told you, this first full season was learning new things each and every day, what was comfortable for me, what works for me. And I think that was a big growing area for myself.
Yeah, and of course, you talk about your time at Louisville, the tradition that they have there. And at Louisville, you sat for a couple years, right? And you talk about the Dodgers organization where you're blocked at a lot of positions because of how much talent that they have. Do you think that kind of better prepared you to really just go through the process and kind of be where your feet are and just not be results-oriented, be more process-oriented, and just kind of try to get better every day? And when you get your opportunity, then you're ready for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I lived through it firsthand in college. It was like I show up to catcher and you're not the man anymore. It was my first overall pick that played in front of me for 2 years, and basically my words were like, "Give me a glove, whatever position. I just want to play." And that was exactly what I did. I kind of transitioned over a little first base, just kind of opened up the athleticism a little bit. Played there for, I would say, probably a full season between the first 2 years. Obviously, freshman year was COVID. Sophomore year wasn't a very great one for anyone with Louisville baseball. Louisville baseball is used to playing in June and playing for a national championship. But we didn't do that year. And I think that, honestly, that situation also helped me grow a lot. It showed me what leadership was, showed me what leading a team, the 8 guys in front of you and the 15 guys sitting in a dugout. What do you have to do to win a baseball game down the stretch? And no, it was a huge learning curve for myself, being able to say, look, like, I can only control this, I can only control that. At the end of the day, I just got to go out there, bust it, and do whatever I got to do.
Yeah, and that Louisville tradition runs strong with the Dodgers. You have Will Smith, you've got Bobby Miller. You've caught Bobby Miller, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to get your take on him because for me, Bobby Miller, this guy oozes superstar. He's someone who it feels like the brighter the lights get, the more he's ready for it. The adrenaline, this guy just screams ace level pitcher. Just kind of talk about how happy you are to see the success he's having. I know it's probably hasn't surprised you at all, but just kind of talk about the experience of catching Bobby Miller. Hopefully he didn't break your hand, right? But just got to talk about working with him.
No, it's Bobby Miller. That's the best way to put it. What Bobby's doing right now is what Bobby was bound to do from the day he picked up a baseball, and everybody kind of knew that. It was a matter of, hey, where's Bobby going to end up? And when the lights get brighter, you're going to see Bobby excel, and that's exactly what he does. Things start to go his way, and he just builds off of it. Things don't go his way, and like what I've loved to see here recently is if he gets punched in the mouth from like any sort of offense, he turns around and he'll punch the next 3 guys out. That's something that's like very impressive at that level, and something that I plan to see Bobby do for the next 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, man, those Louisville batteries are real nice. And yeah, you made a great point there is that this guy can take a punch. This guy can, you saw earlier when he was coming up, give us the home run to Lamont Wade, the grand slam to Alex Bregman, and he bounces back. I think that's been a part of his growth where he's going to go focus on the very next pitch, the very next hitter. He's got such a bright future. He's going deep into games. He takes pride into being that guy. So yeah, it's got to be a really cool feeling just to see the growth that he's had and where he is now. So I know you're excited about him. I want to ask you about some other pitchers too in the minor league level. Anyone that's really stood out that you've caught recently this year?
Man, it's
too many name, right? Too many name.
Yeah, we could go back to spring training. Catching Dodgers minor leaguers would be like if I had packed all my stuff up and I went to a different organization and you set in big league camp for a month, because we have minor leaguers that it's just not even comparable, even with other guys' big league staff. Some of these guys could have been throwing in the big leagues for 2-3 years now. That's just how it is. And that's how well the Dodgers develop at that position and at every position. I would for sure say, I mean, obviously everyone knows Maddox Bruns and the stuff that he has and the potential that he has to go down the stretch and be able to, obviously it's power punch out stuff. But also he developed a lot of pitch ability this year. And I think it allowed him to learn more about himself as a pitcher. And at the end of the day, you can be whoever you want. You can be Maddox Bruns. You can be Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw learned how to pitch. Clayton Kershaw did that, and that's why he's pitched for as long as he has in the big leagues.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what this organization has in spades. You've got the talent, you got the high velocity fastballs, you got the changes, the sliders, all the filthy stuff, but it's learning to go out there and be a pitcher, not a thrower, right? And someone like Maddox Bruns and the success that he's had. One thing I want to ask you too, I was talking to Bobby Miller, I was talking to Diego Cartaya about this a few months ago, and that the Dodgers, the way they develop, yes, you want to win, yes, you want to go out there and win ball games and have success, but it's really about development. So it's not always about, okay, I'm going to punch this guy out, even though we know you get rear back with that 4-seam fastball, and you as a catcher might be focusing on a slider that day, focusing on a changeup that day. How does that change your approach as a catcher and kind of what your workload is like?
Yeah, when we create a plan before a game as a catcher and pitcher catcher sitting down, we're talking about the plan for their game and what we want to do with this guy or that guy. I always refer back to speaking to the pitcher and saying, look, like, no matter what count it is, no matter what pitch I call, I never want you to feel like you can't shake me off. Because at the end of the day, I've always said this, a pitcher that wants to throw a certain pitch but is also trying to throw a different pitch, they're not going to have as much conviction in that pitch as they would in the pitch that they love and they feel in that moment. So I've always tried to keep that freedom with pitchers. Of course, you have to put a blocker down some points. You have to make sure they understand, hey, that's not acceptable in this situation. And usually those Dodger guys know that. I mean, if you're a pitcher in the Dodgers organization, you're smart enough on the mound to understand when the time is to throw a pitch and when the time's not to. But me as a catcher, I love to always give my pitchers as much space as possible, because at the end of the day, you need them as comfortable as possible if they're on the mound. And they're going to be most comfortable throwing the pitch that they think they can execute in that situation.
Yeah, and as far as behind the dish, what areas you've been focusing on this year as far as improvement goes?
Man, it's everything. It's not really just a singular. That's the beauty of catching. There's always room for improvement, whether it be from a receiving standpoint, throwing, working with your pitcher, understanding the right pitches to call. There's always room for improvement, and you can talk to any catcher in the game. You can talk to Buster Posey. I understand he's a Giants guy. We don't speak too much on Buster Posey. But you can talk to Will Smith. There are like pitches that you call, and a week later you go back and you think about that. Oh, I could have done this. I could have done that. There's always room for improvement. I think that's the beauty of being a catcher and taking that role under your belt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It feels like that's the process. You want to get better in every single area. And you brought up Will Smith, of course, the fellow Louisville Cardinal. What's your relationship been like with him, and has he given you any advice?
Yeah, it's a relationship. He's a great dude. One of the greatest guys you'll ever meet on this earth. Down to earth. He'll speak to anyone. Doesn't matter who you are. It was good to see him finally catch the honor that he, in my opinion, should have caught 2 years ago. Being an all-star this year, having the all-star breakout year. And I think the thing with him is you're going to get the same Will every day. I've kind of seen a little glimpse of that, but haven't been able to be in the locker room right next to him and see his everyday antics. But it's a talented catcher that's going to play a long time in the big leagues, and not only lead a team to another World Series, but also do damage with the bat in the box. And that's something you don't get very often with catchers nowadays.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what were some catchers that you were looking up to when you were coming up? Was it the Molinas of the world? I mean, who are some guys as you made it through the organization, really to where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be Yadier Molina.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's always been like a goal to obviously continue to excel behind the plate, taking the bat out of the picture. Yadier Molina did that. He did it for 12 plus years as a catcher, which is absolutely unheard of. But I mean, if you want to, Yadier Molina is a Hall of Famer. If you're playing this game at this level, with this talent level, that can be your only goal. And so setting your sights on a guy like that is something you have to do at a young age.
Yeah, Molina's the man. It's kind of crazy to think that those guys are out of the league. It feels like we had them for so many years. Did you grow up what was your team when you grew up? Were you a Braves fan that region? I know a lot of Braves fans there, a lot of Cardinals fans. Who was your team?
It was more Cardinals. So I was only 25 minutes from AutoZone Park, which is the AAA affiliate for the Cardinals, the Redbirds. So I went to a lot of those games. I was actually a miniature or a little Redbird, whatever they called it. I'd go to every game every week, basically, if not 4 games a week. And so growing up, I got to see a few rehab assignments out of Yachty, and that was a dream come true. Just being able to watch baseball at that age, at that level, was a dream.
The birds on the bat, man. Classy organization. You end up with the Dodgers. And yeah, you talk about where you are right now. And one thing I want to get your opinion on, I asked a lot of prospects, this is you're number one on the Dodgers prospect list. And you know that this organization, we've seen them build talent. Look at Will Smith, an example, Walker Buehler. Really, the examples are endless, but also you see them develop talent as trade chips. Of course, there's always a lot of pressure when you're one of those top guys, but how have you handled being the number one prospect, and how do you just focus on just where you are right now and not being mentioned in potential trade rumors whenever a Shohei Ohtani article comes out or something like that? I know you're really good about being able to just stay in the moment and focusing on your development.
Yeah. Every guy is different. Every guy worries about different things at different times of the year. Of course, like you go look at any of our prospects, top to bottom. You go talk to any of our players in general. You don't even have to worry about our prospects. There's organizations that want guys that were free agents 2 years ago, just because of the way that the Dodgers develop guys. But I would say for myself is like, I always think of it as like, I'm going to control what I can control. And that itself is, I'm going to show the Dodgers that I have a winning mentality. I'm going to win as many games as possible, and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to bust it for 9 innings, however long we got to play. And I think being able to do that when that crazy opportunity gets thrown into you, whether it's a good opportunity, bad opportunity, as far as trades, you're continuing to do the same thing. You can't control it. You're going to be, if you're told, hey, you're being traded to this team, that team, it's the same mentality just rolling over to that organization. Now, God forbid, I want to be a Dodger till the day that I die. Love everything about the organization. And I think that's another step to it, is showing them your love for the organization and the way that they do things, and show them your winning mentality to allow them to say, hey, this is who we want behind the plate game 7. This is who we want back there to win a game for us when we're down by 2, runner on second and third. Like that's the kind of things you have to show them at this age to be able to play for them at X age.
Yeah, and it feels like the guys they've drafted over the last 5, 6, 7 years, I think the one common thread is high character guys that are all invested in doing the right things and developing the right way. Can you kind of speak to that? Because it feels like every prospect in the organization I talk to, they're always saying the right thing, doing the right thing, but it feels like just a high character guys across the board, and there's a lot of camaraderie within the organization.
Yeah, I mean, that's another beauty of being with the Dodgers. It doesn't matter if you're the top prospect or you're not on a prospect list. You're not treated any differently. You are the same person as if anyone walks in this building and plays the game of baseball. And that's what the Dodgers do. That's why they have done the things that they've done for years. They've seen that, hey, like, this guy's worth isn't any more important than this guy's worth, because they both have the same goal. They both want to play in the big leagues for X amount of time and become this Hall of Famer, become this all-star, whatever their goals may be. And that's something that, like I said, the Dodgers do better than anyone, and that's why they have had the success.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, if I was in your shoes, which I would love to be a number 1 prospect, a future big league star, I would say to myself, is it feels like I'm born into royalty, in a certain sense that no matter what happens, I got developed by the best. So whenever I do make it to the show, I'm gonna have the best chance to succeed. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like that to an extent, but I mean, that kind of verts back to, hey, I'm going to show up on time each and every day, just like the other 100 guys that are at the facility are doing, or however many guys are at the facility, because the days that you start to pick yourself apart from others are the days that the game starts to beat you up. I've always said it. The game's like a group of people above watching you, and the things that you do bad, they see everything. And those are the little things that can kind of carry a long way. I never want anyone, no matter if, and I'll be the first one to say something to someone else. You never belittle, especially another guy in your organization. You never know, and one day that could be your captain on a World Series team playing game 7. That's the way I like to think about it, is like, I never know if this guy that came out of nowhere when he was 25 years old and became a big leaguer, turned into an all-star. He could be my manager one day. He could also be a teammate of mine that's leading a team to go win a title. And that's kind of the mindset I like to carry into every day.
Yeah, just look at Mike Piazza, who's drafting the 62nd round, 1,390th pick overall. So you never know who's going to which the cream's going to rise to the top. But yeah, just talking about where you were in high school, because I wanted to ask you, when did you know it was going to be baseball? I know you played football. I know you were a quarterback. I kind of did a little deep dive into your high school playing career, and it seems like you were always a catcher. Did you ever play another position, or were you always behind the dish?
Majority catcher. I would say 90 to 95% I was always a catcher. Had a little third base in my day, played a little first, like I said, once I got to college. But as far as the other sports, it was football. I loved football from when I first started playing, 5th, 6th grade, and played it all the way through my junior year. Couldn't play my senior year that was when I kind of made the decision. I know baseball's it. This is the path I'm going to take. This is I'm going to be able to excel at the best. And but yeah, no, I had a love for football, and it was something I enjoyed doing, especially through my high school days.
By the way, you go from Brighton Cardinal, that was your mascot there, right?
Yeah.
Louisville Cardinal. Let's hope you ever go St. Louis Cardinal, right? We're going to be the Los Angeles Dodger, right? Forget that. So next is a question I want to ask you is your approach to the plate, because I think what makes you unique as a player is you have that power, you get on base, you bring that slug, you see a lot of pitches, but just talk about your approach to the plate, because it's not like you're a guy that's going out there that's just trying to sell out just to get home runs. You're using off field, you're getting hard contact. Just kind of talk about your approach at the plate and your development there.
Yeah, I've always been on this I like to say that fastballs are meant to be hit the other way. Anything soft is meant to be pulled. And a lot of guys, when I say that, they're like, what do you mean? Like, if you sell out for a fastball, you can pull a fastball. I'm like, yeah, you're naturally going to pull a fastball. That's how your body works. But at the end of the day, the second you start to set your sights on something hard coming at you, pull side, you have no chance. It's going to only make the game of baseball harder than it already is. And that was something like you had mentioned earlier, the concussion, returning from the concussion, I tried to come back and hit the ground running. Like I was mid-season form and like I was feeling the best I've ever felt in the box. And that was when I felt adjustments needed to be made. And but at the end of the day, I have a very simple approach. I step in the box, I have one pitch I'm on, it's a fastball early, and I'm looking to do damage to it to the other side of the field, backside part of the field. And if I pull the ball, great. It's just at the end of the day, I've always believed in being able to use line to line. The second you start to become this hitter that can only use the pull side of the field, it really affects not only yourself and the numbers that you put up, but your team and the chances you give them to win.
Yeah, when I was looking at your numbers, I was kind of squinty. I saw a little Max Muncy in those numbers as far as the on base, as far as the slug, and just that compact lefty swing, get to all pitches, all over the zone. And kind of what I know your mindset kind of in the box, and also who are some big league hitters that I want to say you model your swing after, that you just kind of look up to as far as their approaches at the plate?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to veer away from a guy like Freddie Freeman. As a left-handed hitter, of course, our swings don't really profile from the human eye together, but being able to hold that approach, I think he's been able to do the things that he does because of the approach that he's held throughout however many years in the majors and however many years to continue in the majors. I've always liked the way that Freddie carries himself throughout BP. You watch him take BP and he won't hit a baseball to the right side of second base. And that's something that I actually did for a long time throughout this season, just for the fact of the matter, putting my body in the best position to do the most damage and use the whole field. And that's what, obviously you watch Dodgers games each and every day, that's what Freddie does. He uses the left field line to the right field line, and when he runs into a ball, he'll take advantage of his homers. But his intent stepping in the box is to never go out there and show the power intent and try and hit a baseball right down the line 450 feet. He always just tries to keep everything simple, and it's very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, it's the consistency with that approach. It's how devoted he is to his day in, day out routine. Every time I go to batting practice, I'm fascinated. It's the exact same routine. He's wearing the exact same thing. The haircut is exactly the same. Just sometimes he'll play with Charlie for a couple of minutes here and there, but that routine is identical. The way he lets the ball get so deep in the zone. I'm always fascinated by routines. Do you have a specific routine that you developed since you've entered the minor league ranks?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I was just talking to a hitting coach here in Arizona today about it, and we were mentioning, hey, we want to create this routine that I can not only carry into the 2023-24 season, but this is one I want to carry into the big leagues whenever that day may come and throughout my whole career. And we were kind of developing that today, speaking a little on it. And it's more simple stuff. It's along the lines of Freddie and the things that he does. But also I like to have a little bit of like creativity in myself and something that really helps me that others may not know or others may not see. So like I would say, it would be a very, very simple routine as of right now. But that's something I'm kind of working on throughout this off season to get a good routine as to what works for me.
I'm telling you, Clayton Kershaw, you don't even need to watch when you're around him because it's down to the minute. I mean, the guy has golden grams every morning for his start, for breakfast. Every single thing is down to the minute. So, yeah, it seems like there's a correlation there with the greats and having a specific routine. But I would also ask you about just where you're at as far as your intangibles, because you talk to scouts, you talk to people around the Dodgers, and you talk about Dalton Rushing, and they'll tell you he's a great player, but his intangibles are just as good, if not better. Where do you think that comes from?
It's, I don't know. I think it's a personal mindset. It's something that I've since I was 4 or 5 years old, I knew I wanted to play baseball. I knew I wanted to play baseball at the highest level with the best players and be the best player. And that was something that I kind of allowed to really work into myself, like we were speaking earlier on the college situation. That helped me understand myself a lot more and understand that, hey, this opportunity's been granted. Do what you've done your whole life and run away with it. When you get an opportunity like that, you take it and you run. And that's what I kind of felt like with the Dodgers too. The Dodgers were, here I am sitting in a draft room thinking, why am I still sitting here? Or maybe I don't go today. And the Dodgers take a chance. And I took it as if like, hey, they see something that maybe these other guys didn't see, and I know they believe in me. And that was kind of where I was able to hit the ground running and just play the game that I've played for my whole life. And I think a lot of people love, you're saying from a scouting standpoint, it's almost like every single guy that comes and watches, they're like, my God, your desire to win. And that's all I've ever known. It's always been like, I hate to say it this way because in the minor leagues, you're going to lose baseball games. In the big leagues, you're going to lose baseball games. But my main goal is to minimize that number to whatever extent I have to do. And sometimes you can take that out of context a little bit, and some guys will be like, oh, well, sometimes losing helps you learn a lot of things. Yeah, I understand that. And I think you're going to lose games, and that's where you have to step up and actually like take the real you out of you and understand why you lost that baseball game. Because at the end of the day, to the day I die, if we lose a baseball game and the other team scores more runs than us, I'm going to put something on myself saying that I could have done this better because I'm sitting 60 feet from the pitcher and I'm in total control of every single pitch.
Yeah, I love that, because you would think some of the natural tendencies would be, okay, I want to get my numbers up. I want to try to open eyes and try to fast track my way to the show. But when you focus on winning, everything else would take care of itself, right? And
absolutely.
Heard about Dalton Rushing and the fact that in the meeting rooms, you know the players on the opposing team better than they know themselves and how hungry you are. And do you really take that upon yourself as a catcher and kind of take down that responsibility because of your standing on the team?
Yeah. I feel like I don't want to say it's expected, but it is. It's expected in my own eyes. And when a pitcher walks into a pregame meeting, I don't want that pitcher to I understand they're going to have their points and things that they want to say. And I can promise you, if I sit down with a guy like Clayton Kershaw, I'm going to let him talk. I can promise you that. But I want to feel like at this level, half of these guys don't understand their own craft too much. So it's kind of in my hands to take full reins on that and say, hey, this is what you do really good. And this really good is going to beat this guy, and this guy. And then we're going to have to work on this to be able to get to this guy, and this guy. And that's where I kind of like to tell myself, I want to take full reins. When we get in a meeting, I want to be able to lead a pitcher through a game rather than a pitcher have to try and lead me. It's hard for a pitcher to go up there and not have the greatest guidance from a catcher to get them through 6-7 innings in a great outing.
Yeah, and I always tell people, because I always like, oh, the Dodgers are so deep in that catcher's position. You only have one catcher at a time. Why they have so many? Or they use them as trade chips? I was like, one, you want to get as many of these guys as you possibly can, have as deep of a farm system as you can, but also the more elite catchers you have at the minor league level, the better chance you're going to develop these pitchers and have them have more success. It just comes full circle, and the organization is better just because of it. But as far as if there was one person, one coach, a family member who you think has had the biggest influence on you as a player and your leadership style and the way you go about your business, who do you think that would be?
Wow. I mean, I have to go with my mom. My mom's as independent as they come. Like, as independent as they come. She won't ask anyone for help, which is a little like, she gets a little arrogant at times when it comes to like when she truly needs help, be like, hey, I can come help you with this. And she's like, no, I'll do it myself. That's kind of where I like built those characteristics, and I kind of took them in. And growing up with my mom, obviously it's easy to take those things in, seeing it each and every day. And that's kind of what I've tried to do on a baseball side of things is, hey, like, I don't want to do it all by myself. I understand I have 8 guys out in front of me, but I want to put us in the best position to be able to win.
That's incredible. So I take it she's the early favorite to throw out the first pitch on your bobblehead night?
She is the early favorite, I would say, for sure.
Awesome. And yeah, just talking about the other guys, this organization, you mentioned Clayton Kershaw a couple minutes ago. You talk about Sandy Koufax. You'll see him around every now and then. Is there someone that you've seen in this Dodgers organization where even you kind of stood back and said, wow, I'm a Dodger, maybe a little baseball starstruck?
Yeah. I mean, just honestly, I haven't really picked a player. It's easy. So spring training rolls around this past year, and I get to go on the big league side and get to be with some of those guys and do some of the workouts with them and whatever it may be, BP, whatever it is. And there's a few guys over there, a couple AAA catchers. And my first day over there was like, of course, they got to get on the young guy a little bit. And so I walk over there and I'm introducing myself to everyone, of course, like getting to know everyone. And first thing, one of the other catchers comes up, shakes my hand, and he says, "What's up, Mike?" And it kind of threw me for a twist. And I was like, Mike? I was like sitting there for a second. I was like, do we have a guy named Mike that looks like a Mike? And he goes, Piazza. He's like, so like, we've been told like Mike Piazza, that's your name. And I was like, nah, I just started laughing. And so from there, I had to, of course, go look up more and more and more Mike Piazza. Of course, I knew about him from the day I started playing the game of baseball. But I go and look more and more, and the things that Mike Piazza did in the game of baseball is just unrelated as a catcher.
The fact that he went to the Hall of Fame as a Met still hurts me to this day. Hopefully you go into the Hall of Fame as a Dodger. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, when you talk about your ceiling as a player, potential all-star and kind of goals you have set for yourself, you'll ask a lot of prospects this question. What kind of goals do you have for yourself? A lot of them will say just want to stay healthy, want to work hard, and we'll get the results. But do you have any specific goals as far as where your career is headed towards?
I've always told, like I mentioned earlier, I've always told myself, you obviously always have to strive to be the best. And in my eyes, the best doesn't mean that I'm going out hitting 300 every year as a catcher. That's not the best. I think the best is bring as many world championships as I possibly can to the Dodgers organization, and that would create you as one of the greatest players in Dodgers history. That's something the Dodgers care about more than any other organization, is winning. And being able to have that factor under your belt and saying, hey, like, this is my number one goal every single day when I step out there, rather than going 3 for 4 with 2 homers, it makes it much easier to play this game. It takes a lot of pressure off your personal self and allows you to kind of basically pour out everything you have into winning a baseball game. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as the off season goes, is there one thing in particular that you want to focus on, or just kind of want to get better every single facet of your game?
Yeah, every side of baseball I want to get better at. That's the goal each and every off season. But this off season for sure is going to be a big one defensively. I've kind of told myself, hey, I want to, when I step in a box, you can bring a big league presence. Guys can watch you and be like, okay, it's a big league hitter. I want to feel that way on the flip side of things. I go behind the plate, guys understand, I know what's going on. I'm controlling each and every aspect of the game, whether it's the running game, my pitcher's at 60 feet in front of me, or defensive positioning. That's 7 guys. Whatever the aspect may be, I think that's a big goal for myself moving into the offseason, being able to control each and every point of that leading into spring training.
That's awesome. And one thing I want to ask you too is, look, we're, of course, Great Lake Loons. You haven't played under him yet, but have you had any communication with Dave Roberts? And if so, what was his message to you? Yeah,
it's very short. I've spoke to him a handful of times, and his number one message is just, if you want to be a Dodger, you got to win games. And that's easy to say. It's easy to comprehend as a player. And like I said, that's why 90% of my points here are, I want to win as many games as possible. I want to win every single game I step out on the field. But Dave Roberts himself is as down to earth as they come. Great dude. First met him last year after the draft. I went to LA for a weekend series. Got to take BP with everyone. And one of the biggest pointers I remember with Dave Roberts was, I'm taking BP and I'm kind of running through my routine, like I was telling you, hitting the ball to left center, hitting the ball in the gap, maybe pull the ball to right center, but I'm not really trying to launch any balls. And I step out of the cage after my second round, and Dave's like, hey, let's launch a couple the next round. And I'm like, well, all right, kind of going outside of my BP routine, but I'm not playing a game today. So let's go see what we can do. And so I step in the cage and just start giving it some hacks, seeing how far we can hit it. And Dave loved it. And that there itself kind of showed me the guy that he was, the players coach or the players manager that he is, and just the things that he has going inside of a clubhouse are unrelatable.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like Dave Roberts right there. And of course, I'm the host of the post-game show, and usually when the Dodgers lose, He is the one that is the punching bag, right? Fire Roberts, this and that. And I'm known as the doc defender, right? Always defending Dave Roberts because I've seen it with my own eyes in that clubhouse. His infectious energy, it rubs off on his players. But I want to ask you, not just specifically Dave Roberts, just a manager in general, how much of an impact does a manager have on your playing and just your day-to-day? Because baseball is such a grind, right? Tremendous.
About as big as anything in the game of baseball. And granted, I was blessed with a phenomenal manager this past year. As much big league experience as a lot of guys out there. Won a World Series. He got to be in the clubhouse with David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, and that's of course. Sorry, I was blanking for a second. Daniel Nava. He was he put us through a great season, a season that no one could ever forget. And the things that he did, I think, more in the clubhouse are what helped us be as successful as we were out on the field. I remember he came in, it was, we're probably a month and a half, 2 months into the season. He comes in on a Sunday, it's a late show. We're not doing BP, which we're fighting for a first half championship here. And something that a manager like himself saw was that week we're on fire. The more we go take BP, the more we think about a swing, is gonna do nothing but add little things in a minor league player's head. And what can that do? That can hurt you in the game of baseball. And that itself just stuck out to say, hey, he knows what he's doing. He's going to handle this team as well as possible. And that's exactly what he did. He put us in a great position to win. And that's all you can ever ask out of a manager.
Daniel Nava, former World Series champion with the Boston Red Sox, right? Did he brag about the fact that he's only the fourth player in big league history to hit a grand slam in his first at bat?
No. If there's one thing about Daniel Nava, he's never going to speak about himself, and that's something you really have to take for granted. You really have to take like a charge on, because it's a good point for minor league players. This is a guy that grinded as hard as anyone in the minor leagues, and does what he does his first few years. He's always the underdog on every single team, and he just continues to go out and just play. And he's performing at each and every level that he played at. He gets his opportunity, and that was something that he's dreamed about for years. And I can only imagine how nice it was to do the things that he did in the big leagues for the amount of time that he did.
Yeah, no, I heard he's been great, but I don't know. I think I'd probably be sending you guys YouTube links to that grand slam. That's just me, but
yeah, we did watch it. We did watch it a couple of times, I will say.
Exactly, right. But we'll get you out of here on this. Do a little rapid round, some quick rapid fire questions. You ready to roll, my man?
Let's do it.
All right, Dalton. Favorite player growing up?
Easy, Yadier Molina.
What was your first car?
First car was a 2012 Chevy Silverado. Sorry.
Nice. Favorite sport other than baseball?
Football.
Who's your favorite team?
NFL, college.
Let's go both. Well, I would assume Louisville, right?
Yeah, I support Louisville. I don't really have another big college fan base. I hate Tennessee. That's one thing. I hate the University of Tennessee.
No Rocky Top?
No.
Ever in Neyland Stadium?
Yeah, I have been there a couple times, but I'm not a Tennessee fan. NFL, I honestly don't have a favorite NFL team. I actually support the Eagles a little bit with one of my roommates this past year. He's as diehard as they come. And so I kind of support his team for him with him.
Go Birds. Who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Easy, Michael Jordan.
MJ, the GOAT. I love it. What's on your baseball bucket list?
Win a World Series.
Mount Rushmore of catchers.
Mount Rushmore of catchers.
Just your four favorite, though. Just your four favorite.
Four favorite. We're going Yadier Molina. Gotta go Salvador Perez. Buster Posey's gonna have to be up there, and then throw Mike Piazza in there. It's a guy that I've learned a lot about here recently.
Mike Piazza, man, you got to hit the ball out of the stadium like he did. Do you have any superstitions, Dalton?
I would like to say it's more of a routine. It's not really a superstition, so I run through my each and every day, same routine. When I'm getting ready to get dressed, it's one layer at a time. I put my pants on before I put my jersey on. When I put my jersey on, I put my tape on my wrist the same way each and every day. Run through the same exact stretch with the same exact person every day. So, I guess you could call it a little superstition, but I think of it as more of just a routine.
I like it. What is going to be your walk-up song when you make your big league debut? Have you thought about that at all?
Ooh, I have not, honestly. I feel like there's a lot of good ones out there. I've always been a guy, like, I don't want to use a Cali themed song, not being from Cali. I've seen that firsthand from guys, and I'm just like, I feel like I couldn't do that if that's not my home state. But I really want to find something that kind of gets the Dodger Stadium going a little bit.
You could only pick 2 of your teammates for a road trip. Who would you pick?
From this past season, teammates from this past year?
Yeah.
I might have to go Bubba Eileen for the comedy, and it's a tough one. It's like a group of 5 of us that are as tight as they come. I'm gonna have to go Bubba Eileen, and let's go Nick Biddison.
Nick Biddison. Okay, what you guys are stopping at a gas station? What's your favorite gas station snack?
Gas station snack. Honestly, I don't grab too many snacks from a gas station. If I'm gonna get a little candy bar though, I have to always go with a Snickers. Snickers is my favorite candy bar. Not 100% sure why. I've loved them since I was 7 years old.
So good. I'll get you out here on this one. Who is your most famous contact in your phone, Dalton Rushing?
Most famous. I mean, trying to go. Wow, you got to go with the GOAT, Andrew Freeman. Come on, it's
Andrew. Could you FaceTime him? Have some. I want to see you start. No, but
I don't think I'm going to FaceTime him. I don't think I'm going to.
Yeah, the GOAT, Andrew Freeman. That's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Dalton. We appreciate the time. Congratulations on a great season. We're looking forward to your future star, Dodger man. We cannot thank you enough for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout, Dalton.
Thank you, guys.